Hello, this is James Bush, and you are with Ask a Counselor. Have the conversation TN.org, brought to you by the great people at STARS. And so, to my left, maybe your right, I have a treat today, and I'm going to explain, or I'm going to introduce. I want her to introduce herself to me because, man, this is someone who has been in the addiction field for probably maybe they're not been actually alive. But let's go even like So Sharon K, take it away.
Hi, I'm Sharon K. I'm the general manager of WFSK Radio at Fisk University, and I have been worked in the field many years, and but I've also been in the media for many years, so it's kind of combined
Yes.
expertise
Mm-hmm.
I have. And I've encountered a lot of situations, met a lot of people, learned a lot.
Okay.
And my life has been enriched as a result of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Really. So, okay, before there's so many things that we can dive into, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. If you have any questions or have any ideas or so, you can click on YouTube and you can put into super chat to the right or to my left, whichever one it is, and ask your question about opioids or any addiction related idea. Or you can go to your favorite social media platform and you can hashtag ask a counselor or hashtag have the conversation TN, and somebody somewhere will be able to find it and pick it up. So let's get right into this.
Okay.
Sharon K.
Yes.
Through your experience, with what you've seen in the addiction field, how has it changed over the years?
Oh, Lord. Well, I started, I've been very blessed to work in prevention side, treatment side, public relations marketing, and also boots on the ground, too.
Right.
And when I started, it was in 1989. I worked for the Tennessee Alcohol and Drug Association.
Okay.
The first job I had was to certify the certification process for alcohol and drug counselors. So everybody who wanted to be a counselor, who's now doing very well successfully, because that was years ago, in the private practice or facilities, had to come through the process like everybody else.
Right.
Because there's a lot of training and workshops and skill sets that you have to acquire before that you get the shingle.
Okay.
So the association, which was at the time in Metro Center on Mainstream Drive, they had the license from the state to assist with that process. I was hired by longtime Nashville counselor Jenny Haywood, to oversee that area. She had the contract. They needed somebody to process the paper,
right,
and to help the counselors answer questions, etc., on the process, get them the tools they needed. So that was my entry point.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Even though I had family members and knew of issues involving drugs and alcohol in my family and everybody's families for years. But when I really worked in the field was in officially 1989.
Wow.
And it was so different then.
Wow.
It was, just say no and Nancy Reagan. And,
right.
It's the war, and it was just different. And
right.
the vibe was different. The money was different.
Right.
Politically, it was different. It was supercharged up the atmosphere. So that opened the doors for a lot of things. Shortly after, I think I had done that job about 6 months. The association itself was the state association for the treatment and prevention providers.
Okay.
They belonged to this. They paid dues to be in the association.
Okay.
They looked out for them, not lobbying, but looked out for them in terms of staying abreast of your colleagues, what the issues are, where the money is, what kind of problems that you may have as a contractor, etc.
Right.
So that was the umbrella. The umbrella agency had an opening for to run their clearinghouse, and I'd never done a clearinghouse. I've done a lot of things. If I had a hammer, that was one of those kind of things. It was so I applied for it. I got the job.
Wow.
And then I prayed because I was like, oh, okay, Lord. But anyway, by that time I had already immerse myself in the culture and language
Mhm.
of the field.
Right.
Because it has like all other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they have their own field and their
Yeah.
own verbiage.
Verbiage,
And
terminology.
yes,
Right.
because everything goes down to acronyms and the whole
Oh,
nine.
yeah, definitely.
And you can get left behind if you don't know
Yeah.
what's what.
True.
So I had mastered all that and knew the players and the game and etc. and the facilities and all that, because these functions at this agency were statewide.
Uh-huh.
So you really got to know who the network was,
Right.
who the players were, and the game, etc.
Okay.
And during that time, that was it was pivotal for my knowledge of the field,
Uh-huh.
because one side dealt with treatment, which
Uh-huh.
was my entry,
Okay.
and then the clearinghouse position, the statewide clearinghouse, was prevention.
Uh-huh.
So I got the whole gamut inside of that work environment.
Uh-huh.
Um, and as they do work hand in hand, there were still turf issues between prevention and treatment. I'm like, because prevention people always felt like the stepchildren,
Right.
and the treatment people got all the money all the time.
Okay.
And that's probably still the feeling that some people have.
I'm not going to speak on those things. I'm not going to speak on anything of that nature right there.
That was a loaded one, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was
I know,
very
I know.
loaded.
But I mean, that's how far. I mean, it goes way back.
Right. Right.
And then during that time, it was very competitive for the dollars.
Okay.
So the state of Tennessee, like all the others, like a lot of the other states, they were taking this war on drugs seriously and creating these centers in each state that would be served as the distribution for the citizenry. And that was way pre-internet, pre all this other stuff we have now. It was pamphlets and videos and books. So when I got the job as the clearinghouse director, I was, it was a room, so a couple of boxes in it,
Yeah.
and a shelf that hadn't been assembled.
Wow.
So I God is good. That and the vision I saw was, it's going to be more than just a box of books, and we're going to make this, the pivotal point at which the citizens can be proud.
Wow.
For the distribution, and it ended up actually being that. But in that time frame, the field was evolving, and there was dollars starting to pump and flow, and these things were starting to feel good, and people were saying, let's create more messaging, and let's have more conferences and more, and all that stuff is about gone now. Basically, because we used to have conferences all the time, and we could have think tanks, and people from around the state or around the country could gather and work on strategies of how to effectively deal with neighborhoods. We can let each other know from one portion of the state to the other. As you see something, since Tennessee is bordered by 8 states, as you see a trend coming down, you can let us know. And so that helped, but somebody had to house all that information. So that was what the clearinghouse became.
Wow. Okay.
The hub. And it also was the hub for the latest research from the Center for Substance Abuse Prevention, the National Institute on Drug Abuse. I knew all the feds and all their stuff because the government also put not just dollars across the states, but they also put dollars inside of their own programs.
Gotcha.
So it was a well-funded for a long time mechanism. We used to have a drug-free Tennessee in the state of Tennessee. And we had a lot of things that were in place for grace, and because funding isn't there, everything was dismantled.
Wow.
And here we sit in 2019 with an opioid issue. And,
so you get me to my next point. When did you first realize that opioids were very bad?
Shortly after I started working in the substance abuse field in the late 80s.
In the late 80s?
Yeah. Well, I started looking. Yeah. Well, what I did was I'm a data nut.
Okay.
So I started looking at stuff because I like trends and dots and all that. And I just noticed that Tennessee was always in the top 2 or 3 in distribution of prescription drugs.
Wow.
Pharmaceutically, Hope was getting a lot of prescriptions in this state.
Yeah.
And they've always were in that level. So that's kind of where, whenever I would go out and speak publicly or prepare documents or, because we had to do a fair amount of creation of documents, etc., for the public, I would include that information because I felt like it was important, even though the conversation was on crack and cocaine and alcohol.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I just felt like, if you're going to include it in the spectrum, it needs to be in there.
That's when you just said the late 80s, and I tell people, I remember when you can go to a drugstore and you didn't have to show your ID or anything like that.
You can get suited there and just buy it.
And so the thing is that to hear that the signs were there.
They were there. But then nobody was thinking like that.
Wow.
And this mindset is in so much of this. Nobody was thinking that, like when we were out doing the meth messages and, problems with meth, people were like, they didn't think there was any way that you can look for some cleaning stuff underneath somebody's sink and create some dope. I mean, because you understand what I'm saying? That the mind wasn't there yet. And enter the people that work in the field, because our job is to educate and inform.
Yeah,
but it's hard to do that job. You got to fight for every dime you have to keep your lights on.
That's true.
I mean, that's real.
That's true.
So, and one of the things that I'm really proud of, most people don't probably realize, but I do have videotape and pictures to prove it. I wrote the original grant for the Tennessee Red Line. On drug crisis line, 1-800-889-9789.
Wow.
The state of Tennessee contacted the office, the Bureau of Health Services, Minority Health Services, and wanted to know if we gave you the money, could you do this? And I was, I talked to my boss, and I was like, well, can you? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, we can, yeah. So that's how it got started.
Yeah.
It got started.
Tennessee Red Line.
It got,
Creator.
I mean, and I got the photos and the history and the newspaper articles.
Wow.
And it was, that was going to be, it's a testament to the effectiveness of it because it's still funded.
Right.
Okay, that was years ago.
Right.
That was almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
And it's still going on, which is so amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, to me personally, I get emotional thinking about it. But we had the support of the state. We did our first pilot in Brownsville. We went down there to build the treatment center down there in the media and to push out, call the number, because it was a on the ground number for the community to ask questions. I need help. Can you help steer me to a loved one?
Okay.
That was what the initial, and we had this giant, I put a giant map up on the wall.
Right.
That we hired several counselors and licensed counselors to head the phone line.
Yes.
And I bought the biggest map of Tennessee I could find.
Right.
And a whole bunch of color-coded dots. So we could track. And that information we could use in our presentations, or we can pass it on to the state. So if we got a call on meth, or we got a call on huffing, or whatever was going on that particular city, we dotted and every dot had a drug it was connected to. So you can look at the state and see. Now, all this is pre-internet and all that, okay? We didn't have any of those things. This is like Stone Age stuff.
Wow.
But I mean, as a visual, when you see Mountain City to Memphis, all these colored dots and all these issues going on, okay? And people still in denial.
So
please.
So you talk a lot about the community and people. What do you feel is the message that the community has not grasped about the seriousness of opioids?
Well, I don't think they've grasped the fact that it could be somebody, it could be them or somebody in their family. And just because it came from a doctor or dentist or whoever it came from, doesn't mean it can't create a problem for you. Because that's obvious.
Right.
With people doing the things that they're doing and hurting themselves and their families. Some of these things I'm hearing about how the level of desperation people have to get high And the fact that they would put their own children and themselves in danger, and or endanger the lives of others in such a way that is so reckless, it's mind-boggling.
Because as a person in the treatment and prevention field, we want to find ways that we can connect more with the community and get the information out there as useful as possible. So it's not one of those things where it's just a one-off where we're having a big event or gathering and then we're not seen for another year or 6 years or anything like that, but something that will stick with them, that will connect with them. And sometimes too, when you start to look at a map, just like you had with the red line, and you have a map of where all the pockets of maybe overdoses and things are like, it's alarming to see where some of the trends are.
Yes, it is. And how every community has issues.
Right.
You know, with some people in smaller towns and smaller rural communities, they might not, because you don't tell nobody and you just keep it quiet and all that kind of stuff. They keep it quiet in the city too. It's not just a rural thing. But that people don't want everybody to know.
True.
And they don't want the secret out.
Right.
And the resources aren't there for them. And a lot of folks, here even in the major metropolitan areas like Nashville, there's not enough resources for them, as in beds or places to go for help. It's just not there yet. And it can be, but it's not there right now because too many people need help. And they're not, something is keeping them from, and I guess the addiction is keeping them from seeking the help they need. And I don't know, because I had a couple people call me that know I've been in the field for a long time. They read up on me somewhere on the internet. And just on a QT, call me up, Cherokee, can you call me please? Because I need to know, do you know where something might be? Because I done called. And so I still, after all these years, I still get those, know. So and I'm still in contact with everybody. Most of them come encounter. But I mean, it's so prevalent that this is more, to me, on a different level of bad than, crack cocaine scared people. Right. But exactly. This is not scaring them like it should.
Why not?
Well, and I think culturally, can I just break it on down?
Oh boy. Here we go.
Okay,
Here we go.
I'm just being real.
Yeah.
People think more of the opioid like, white kids,
okay.
white people.
Okay.
Even though it's, equal opportunity destroyer.
Right.
But that's not what is projected.
Okay.
With cocaine and crack, it was boys in the hood.
Right.
It was drive-by shootings.
Right.
It was hip hop. It was rap music.
Yes,
it had the whole gamut.
Right.
And then crack babies. Oh Lord, they like superhumans. They were going to grow up and be these villains from hell, and come to find out they didn't. Yeah. Because there was a lot of fear around crack babies. Oh my God. So I mean, money was set up for that. Okay.
Right.
I don't hear a single word about opioid babies.
I haven't heard that either.
Okay, or a program created, or anything.
I haven't heard that either.
Nothing about it. Okay, I mean, so you can see as a person that created messaging.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how did y'all miss this?
Sure.
It's become so pervasive that it killed the mayor's son. It can't get no more next door to Nashville than that.
True.
Okay.
True.
That's so deep. It's so many ways. And and other people's sons and daughters are dead.
Right.
And it just can't get any deeper than that.
Right.
And people that the fire department and the paramedics got to carry Narconon. I mean, come on, y'all, really? Okay, you can't get any deeper than that. Because I remember when it wasn't really hardly available, nobody knew what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was almost hard to get at one point.
Not anymore.
I know. Because I saw a story on the news about they were excited because they got the fire department in some smaller town got the dosages. Right. It's like, are you serious?
That's true.
So I'm just saying that I think that, the community, the people need to take this thing far more seriously than what they're taking it as. Every time I hear a story or hear something from someone about a loved one or something they've gone through, I'm like, why does this not rattle y'all? Why does this not make you, number one, run from it? But I mean, why does this not shake you up? Like crack babies did and crack cocaine. I mean, it's just, so culturally, I think that rattle had something to do with the way the messaging was presented or the images presented. And it's not, I don't see it because people just go on like it's nothing. You're high, passed out, needle in your arm, and you in the park, and your kids is crying, and it's a regular day in Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know how that would have been culturally if it was crack mama in the park with? Okay.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things nowadays is because opioids, from what I'm understanding, has a lot of times always been compared to the crack epidemic and how the response was when the crack epidemic was in the 80s as opposed to the opioid response now. There are a lot of different narratives and literature out there saying that we're offering more treatment these days as opposed to what we did in the 80s when it came to crack.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's just starting to pick up, but the president's wife, then Reagan, declared war. Okay. Now, when the president's wife says it's a war on it, everybody got a gun. Okay, everybody's going to war. You hear me? They had a sea of things available.
Right.
Melania Trump has not declared war. So, I mean, and the president has barely, So I'm just saying, when the wife stepped in,
right,
it turned up, ratchet up the volume.
I got you. That's what you're saying.
That to me was the difference.
Right.
Because she was known then as a champion for, the prevention and, the proactive, I mean, that was a lot of, you just say no, Nancy Reagan,
you know
that.
Right.
And that was a whole campaign and, a mindset.
It was a movement.
Yeah.
It was a movement back then.
It really was.
Wow.
What's the movement?
Wow. Have the conversation, tn.org.
I was hoping you would catch that, okay?
Have the conversation, tn.org. Hashtag ask a counselor. Everybody, Sharon K. Wonderful Sharon K. Champion for addiction within this community. So for more on this and topics like this, visit us at havetheconversationtn.org. That's havetheconversationtn.org. Sharon K, it's been wonderful to have you on. I mean,
well, I got 1,000 stories. You know that, right?
I mean, stuff that you were telling me, I'm like, that actually happened. Yeah. It's like, wow, though, man. And so, Matt, Sharon K, once again, signing off. Hashtag ask a counselor. If you have any information or looking for some loved one to give, more than likely, where it comes to information about opioids, addiction, how to talk to loved ones, parents, things like that, sign on to the website. Be very beneficial. Take it easy.
And have the conversation.
Have the conversation.
Oh.